Hello everyone, I'm Stan. Today we are taking the chapter number 27 of the module D of ABM. We have done the chapter number 26 the previous day, and in this chapter the chapter name is analysis of the financial statement. So whenever there is a word called financial statement, what comes into your mind is the balance sheet and the profit and loss account. This is the financial statement, and this financial statement, apart from this, there are two another financial statement. So there are four financial statement, but the two is very famous and the other two is not very famous, but for the bankers that is required. So the first is the balance sheet and second is the profit and loss account, and the another one is the funds flow statement, and the next one is the cash flow statement. So there are four. So why there is a requirement of the financial statement? The financial statement is required to understand the company's performance till date, plus the company's position of the last year, plus the future of the company. So in if we want to know anything about the company, we can easily know through the financial statement. If we see the balance sheet or the profit and loss account of the company, we can trace out, we can deduce so many of conclusion by seeing only the balance sheets. So what actually the financial statement reveals? It reveals the net worth first. Net worth, what is net worth? The total assets minus total liabilities is the net worth. Second, the repayment capacity. How the repayment capacity? We find various ratio from the balance sheets or the profit and loss accounts. So through that we can trace out that the person is able to repay or not. If we going to give the loan, then the person is going to repay or not. Next, the viability. The viability means the viability of the project. For example, he is taking some projects, and we should know that whether that project is allowed or not by the government. So for example, if they are taking a project to manufacture ozone depleting substances, so this one is not allowed by the government. So in future if we give loans, then it will not be beneficial for us, because we can, because it will get banned by the government. So we need to also assess the viability by seeing the financial statement, because by seeing the financial statement you will come to know that the what company is actually dealing in, what business they are actually doing. So the financial statement reveals everything about the company. Next, we will take some short understanding of the funds flow and the cash flow. So before going into the funds flow and the cash flow is generally needed for the companies whose turnover is greater than 50 crore of rupees, though the balance sheet and the profit and loss account is mandatory for all the companies to make. And now we will see that, okay, we will understand funds flow statement and the cash flow statements later. Before that we will deal with the some more things, like for whom the financial statement is required. The financial statement is required for the creditors, those who are giving credit to the company. They must see that whether the company's liquidity is good or not, or whether the company is able to repay that credit amount or not. So for creditors the financial statement is required. For investors also, they want to, if they want to invest, first they will see the company's everything, then they will invest. For government agency, it is mandatory uh, to submit the financial statement every year to the government. To rating agency, they rate the company according to the financial statement. Customers also, they need to produce to the customers, so that the transparency is there. Employees also, and analysts also. Now, in the accountancy, in the JIB, we have learned so many of concept. As this is CIB, but these questions, basic questions could be asked. So and it is also, these things are also mentioned in the book, so you need to revise this concepts, like the entity concept. Entity means the company you have opened is different from you, it has its own identity. It acts as an artificial person, so it will be very different from you. Whatever your expenses, it is different from the company's expenditure. So that's the concept of the entity concept. Next, money measurement. Those things which can be measured in the form of money, that can only be taken into accountancy. This is the concept of the accountancy. Going concern concept. In the going concern concept means, if the company is opened, it will go for infinite period until and unless insolvency or other things happens. Next, cost principle. In the cost principles, what do you mean by the cost principle? In the cost principle, if you buy an asset 5 years ago and the cost you put is 5 crore of rupees, so even today that cost will be taken as 5 crore. It will not be less in the continuous year. It will not get less and less, but it will remain at the 5 crore. Though if you find the original cost after the depreciation, it will be at the market cost, it will be very less than the 5 crore. But in this year also, in every year, in the future year also, you need to take the same amount, that is 5 crore for every year. Next, conservatism. In the conservatism concept, you need to consider all future losses, but you don't need to consider all future gains. This is conservatism. Dual concept. In the dual concept, if there is a credit somewhere, then there is a debit also. So that is the dual concepts. Accounting period, we need, if you want to make a financial statement of the balance sheet, you need to have a period. That period can be anything that is decided by the country or the any organizations worldwide. So in the accounting period in India, we take 12 months, and we need to make financial statement this in every period after the period ends. Next, accrual concept. The accrual concept says that the for example, you have done a transaction, you purchase some goods and the goods got delivered, but you are being said to pay the due amount after 3 months, but you should write the in the balance sheets or in the accountancy the date on which you have purchased. So that is the accrual concept. It doesn't matter when the money will come or when the money you will give in future. If the goods come, then you have to write it into your accountancy book. Next, realization concept. Only in the realization concept, it will only be realized if the goods are delivered. So this is realization concept. Next, the matching concept. In the matching concept, what we see in the matching concept, the expense will be entered in that accounting period where the revenue is generated. So in the matching concept, if for example you have applied 10,000 of rupees 5 years ago, but you are earning an income after 5 years, so you need to put an expense on the same year where you are earning a revenue. So what is the legal angle of the financial statement? As you know that there are many acts which makes it mandatory to submit a financial statement. First is the Companies Act. In the Companies Act, it is written that it is mandatory for every company to make balance sheet or the profit and loss accounts. And as far as the bankings are concerned, the Banking Regulation Act specifies that the banks has to make a financial statement, and even the format, the whether it will be horizontal or vertical, it is mentioned in the Banking Regulation Act. And as far as the accounting period are concerned, it is generally taken from April to March, but if they take permissions from the registrar or from registration or authority, then it can be increased to 15 months or 18 months. And if for example, if the company is not operating at all, for example due to this coronavirus many companies are not operating, still they need to file a financial statement to the government or any authority which is required to be submitted. So we are taking the cash flow statement and the funds flow statement. As the name suggests, what do you mean by cash? In the cash flow statement, whatever the cash comes in and whatever the cash goes out, this cash flow statement speaks about that. So for example, in the March month, if there is more cash inflow than the more cash outflow, it means that the company is earning in the month of March. And in the month of April, if the more cash is going out than the cash comes in, it means the expenditure is more in that company as far as the cash is concerned. So in the cash flow, the banks required to assess the cash flow before giving loans to anyone, because this is something which speaks about the liquidity of the companies. And in the funds flow statement, Whenever the funds flow statement comes into your mind, it is related to the net working capital. So what do you mean by net working capital? Net working capital, there is one formula: current assets minus current liabilities. But there is another definition which is out and out related to this also. But there is also another statement like the net working capital is the part of the long term source or the long term capital of the companies. So net working capital is nothing but part of the long term source. So in the net working capital, the funds flow statement relates with the net working capital. So this funds flow statement speaks about how much you are uh, taking your long term source fund to fund the current assets. So this fund flow statement analyzes that. So it is nothing but the movement of the long term funds to the short term funds is the funds flow statement. This statement is also required to be made by the bankers. If the company do not make it automatically, then bankers have to find it. And how the banks find it? The bankers keep out all the long term uses of the fund separate, all the long term sources of the fund separate, and they find the difference of the long term sources and the long term uses. And the difference they find, if it is equal to the current assets and the current liabilities of the balance sheet, then they can state out that the funds flow is, and that is called the funds flow analysis. And if it is equal, then it is good. Next, how it can be helpful to the bankers. How the financial statement can be beneficial to the bankers, we will see. First, assessment of the performance and the financial position. We have discussed that through the balance sheet, we comes to know about the history of the company, and through the profit and loss account, we need to understand the current position of the companies, because profit and loss account states only about the last year performance of the company, but the balance sheet gives the history, whatever they have earned, whatever they have reserves, whatever they have put into any assets, whatever they had assets, whatever they have liabilities, everything is mentioned in the balance sheet. Project of the future performance. So according to the balance sheet and the analysis the banks do, they comes to know that what is the project, what is the future of the company. The future performance of the company can be traced out through the financial statement. Detecting danger signals. Yes, the bankers can easily find the danger signals through finding the various ratios. If the ratios is less than the threshold that is required, then we can say that the company is going into a danger zone. Next, assessment of the credit requirements. Yes, whatever they have the assets, whatever they has the liabilities, so the credit requirement will be finalized by seeing or analyzing the balance sheets only, because we can't give all the money what they want. We will give only based on the securities they have, based on the money they can repay to us, we will give. Funds flow examining, we have understood this. And cross checking means in the every quarter they submit stock papers and stock papers or statements or debtors statements, etc. So after the year they make the balance sheet and the financial statement. So with that balance sheet, if we cross check with the every quarter's statements of what they have deposited, so if we find any differences, then we can say it to the companies. But if it is not, then we can easily say that yes, this is genuine and we can accept that. So next is the technique used in the analysis of the financial statement. The funds flow analysis we have understood in simple. The banks has to find the long term uses, the long term source. They need to find the difference of that, and if the difference they found is equal to net working capital or is equal to current assets minus current liabilities, then we can say that the funds flow analysis can be done. Next, the trend analysis. In the trend analysis, we need to understand these things. We will understand with an example. For example, you have a company and you sold the goods in a particular year of 100 crore of rupees, and you and the expenditure includes the salaries, the rents you paid is 80 crore. So this 20 crore is nothing but an operating profit, and this is also operating profit is also called as earning before interest and tax, so EBIT. And after that, you after the operating income you find, you will deduct interest, tax and the depreciation components. Okay, let's say depreciation is 1 crore. So total 2 crore, 1 crore, 1 crore, 4 crore. So this 16 crore is nothing but a profit after tax or net income or earning after interest or tax or depreciation. So these you should understand. Now we will see this ratio analysis. There are lots of ratio that banks analyzes before giving loans, like the profitability ratio. As the name suggests, it analyzes the profit. So in the numerator, the profit can be operating profit or net profit or any type of profit. There are many types of profit. After net profit, they have after interest profit, after tax profit. So in the numerator, the profit component will be there, and in the denominator, net sales will be there. Next, liquidity ratio, the current ratio and the quick ratio. Current ratio is equal to current assets by current liabilities. Current assets are those assets which can be turned into cash within a year, and current liabilities which can be which is our expenditure in 1 year, we need to pay them, that is current liabilities. And in the quick ratio, we deduct from the current asset the stocks. In the quick ratio means in 2 to 3 months, if you are able to convert the cash convert the current assets into a cash or not. So in the stock, you can't sell in 2 to 3 months. It will take some time. So we deduct the stock from the current assets, then we get the quick assets. And in the liabilities, we deduct the cash credit, the short term loan from the bank, that is the cash credit. It is also fixed time period, so this can't be sell in 2 to 3, this can't be paid in 2 to 3 months. So that is the purpose. Next is the capital structure ratio. It is nothing but a debt by equity. Debt, the long term debt only is taken into concern, and equity is the net worth, and net worth or equity is equal to the capital plus the reserves. Okay. DSCR, as the name, debt service coverage ratio. This examines that whether the person who has come for the loans is able to repay the amount or not. So in this, we'll find the first, the operate in the numerator, operating profit. Either if the operating profit is given, then it's good. If not, then you need to find the operating profit through downward to upwards. Like you have given profit after tax, then you need to add interest component, plus you need to add the depreciation component. So net profit plus depreciation plus interest and on interest on the long term borrowing, divided by the installment you paid plus interest on the long term borrowing. And installment could only be paid after PAT. Now the profit after tax, after profit after tax, you pay the installment, but interest is paid before profit after tax. So this is this DSCR formula. Now next is the turnover ratio. Whenever the name turnover comes to you, it will only relates with the net sales or the cost on goods sold. So in the numerator, you will always see the cost on goods sold or the net sales, and in the denominator, you will see the name that is required to be found. Like in the inventory ratio, we need to take the average inventory in the denominator. In the debtors turnover ratio, you need to take the average debtors in the denominator. In the asset turnover ratio, you need to take the assets in the denominator. And in the numerator, sales, net sales, net sales, net sales, this is also net sales, and cost on goods sold in case of the inventory. So that's it with the topic. Thank you.